I call to order the meeting of August 4th, 2025. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? It is 6 o'clock. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
How about the invocation?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's have Steve Starr first do the invocation. Sorry, Steve.
Madam Mayor, I would have waited as long as you did. So, you know, it's kind of funny. I was asked today. I'm looking at that. Is it not on? Or do I need to get closer? Come on, buddy. Come on to the right. Is that it?
We got to make this easier.
While they're fixing that, I'll project.
Oh, you mean the one that says on off?
I wasn't going to say anything.
I think it's all your fault, Madam Mayor. It's like,
You wouldn't be the first to say that.
you know, it's kind of funny because in my quiet times today, the passage said to pray for the king and those in authority. And I thought, very interesting that I'm coming to City Council to pray today. So I guess you're the king, Madam Mayor, and you're the authority, the rest of you. The other thing is I just came from the food bank, Sumner Food Bank. Great organization. And they're just moving to offering nighttime pickups. And they're trying to get the churches to rally around and each take an evening. And so we're doing that. And so we're filled in the mornings with people coming and now 2 nights a week. So good things happening there. Anyway, let's go ahead and pray. Lord God, thank you. Thank you for this council and the mayor and just the work that it does. Thank you for this community and how special it is to be a part of a community like this that is small but is so big and just so good. Lord, we praise you for the people who give of their time. We pray for the citizens here who have come and to share their interests, their concerns, and all of that. And Lord, we do this all in front of you because you are the ruler. Thank you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Steve. All right. Now, will the clerk please call the roll?
Potato.
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Clariget.
Here.
Cole.
Here.
Elfers.
Here.
Kenna.
Here.
Rinky.
Here.
Full boat tonight. Everybody's here. All right. Moving on to consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, approval of the meeting minutes from July 7th and 21st, 2025 regular council meeting, July 7th, 2025 special study session, and the 14th and 28th of July study sessions.
All right. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Bowman, would you please make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Elfers. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Would any council member wish to remove an item? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimous. All right. On to public hearing. Transportation Benefit District Assumption. I open the public hearing on Transportation Benefit District Assumption at 6:04. And I call on City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Over the past several months, Council's been working through the process of implementing a transportation benefit district. You might recall on July 21st, Council approved the formation of the Transportation Benefit District following our corporate city boundaries. Tonight, you are holding a public hearing for Council to assume the role of the Transportation Benefit District Board. This hearing does not impose a Transportation Benefit District sales tax. That will be before Council later in September. So what you're working on tonight is the assumption piece of the Transportation Benefit District. So as a reminder, with assumption, council is the leadership board for the Transportation Benefit District. The Transportation Benefit District business decisions can be made at a council meeting, which is more efficient and predictable for the public, as well as transparent. It's also the reporting of it is cleaner for our finance department. If council did not assume the Transportation Benefit Board leadership role, council could still be in that role. However, they'd have to have a separate meeting for the Transportation Benefit District, or you could delegate that to a different group. Because of the not assuming it, those business decisions would be done in a separate meeting, and that could be more confusing or less transparent to the public. Too far. So as a reminder, kind of the process, you already formed the Transportation Benefit District. Tonight's public hearing is to assume the Transportation Benefit District leadership role, and then you will consider an ordinance to assume those duties on August 18th. And then the funding, as I mentioned, that'll be before you right now scheduled in September. It is not actually the 2nd. There is no meeting on September 2nd, so it'll be the first regular council meeting in September. I'll turn it over to you, Mayor, for the public hearing.
All right, thank you. Okay, is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to address this topic?
Mayor, would you like me to read the rules for public comment before we start?
That would be a good idea.
Public comment for public hearings. This time is reserved for a public hearing on the topic identified on tonight's agenda. If you haven't signed up, please begin your comments by stating, for the record, your name and the city where you reside. You will have 3 minutes to speak. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is the council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. The council will not address any questions.
All right. Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to address this topic? Use your raise the hand. No. Seeing none.
Mayor, we do have one person who has signed up who would like to speak. Mr. Mike Herbert.
Mike Herbert.
Thank you.
Hi there. I spoke a couple weeks ago about the same topic, and I'm back again to add on to that on why I'm concerned about the transportation district. Previously, I wrote an email to all of the council members back in February when this originally came up in study session. I'm going to read a snippet of that. I said, the city needs to live within its funds they currently get. If this means cutting services, stop spending so much money on parks or staff, then that's what needs to happen. Continuing to add burden to the community is not the answer. This TBD is especially concerning because it includes the potential for little outreach to the community. Basically, with a quick public meeting and a council sign-off, it's a done deal. This is unacceptable to me. This is the type of thing that gives government a bad reputation. I did notice, thankfully, that the agenda bill stated there was no rush since the current budget is balanced. On the other hand, staff slides seem to indicate they would like approval for this tax now. I would encourage you all to set this aside and, if compelled in a few years to re-explore the idea, do some deep outreach well in advance. I'm sure you'll find that the more people find out about this type of secret tax increase, the fewer will like the idea. This appears to be the way it's actually going down. While there was notice that there would be a public meeting in July and August listed on the council agendas, I didn't see or hear of any specific public outreach. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even mentioned in the community connection until a couple of weeks ago. So anybody that would want to have spoken would have had to do it at this meeting or at the meeting coming up, which is not a lot of transparency. I'd also be concerned that there hasn't been a lot of outreach to local businesses. That includes car dealers, restaurants, and even the old cannery. Consider this fact. The state just initiated raising taxes this year, coming up in October or in January of 2026. That includes increased business and occupation taxes, expanding the retail tax base to include additional services, 50% increase on liquor fees, retroactively creating progressive tax structure for capital gains. It goes on, even increasing fishing licenses. With these new state sales taxes coming on board, this will both help the city, so I think that should be considered, and also, it's also very punitive to the people that are already in town. We've got the taxes coming on, but on the other hand, the city is also making some money from those taxes. Don't forget about all the taxes already being paid. The property tax and values have increased, utility rates, and on and on. I would strongly consider that the council consider these things before continuing with the transportation benefit district. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak on this topic? All right, seeing none, I will close this hearing at 6:10. And we will move on to our regular business. We have no unfinished business, and we are at public comment. Michelle, would you please read the rules for public comment?
When the clerk calls your name, please step up to the podium, making sure the microphone is on, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. As a reminder, commenters are prohibited by state law from utilizing public comment to campaign for an appointed or an elected official, or to use public comment to support, promote, or oppose any candidate for an appointed or elected office. This portion of the meeting is the council's opportunity to hear from the community, and they will not be answering questions. Mayor, we do have several people who have signed up for public comment tonight.
All right.
Would you like to see, though, if there is anybody on Zoom?
I would. Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to make a public comment? All right, seeing none. First one on the list, Michelle.
And the first person is Robert Lewis from Friar Avenue. Mr. Lewis, you, just as a reminder, you do have 3 minutes, and we will be making sure everybody keeps to that.
I might have had a couple of my questions answered tonight by Ryan and Michael, but I am concerned about the Friar Avenue bike trail. It crosses in front of our building, and the consultant the city's hired isn't able to answer the questions of what's going to happen with the railroad crossing across it. And that's, to me, it raises a red flag that the railroad isn't easy to deal with, and they conquer all. So I'm hoping that something happens before eminent domain takes our property, or before we have to sign for it. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this Ryan House. It's, I was a contractor for 20 years, and I was a building inspector for King County for a long time. And there wasn't anything in that house that isn't fixable. It might take a little bit of work to do it, but I think you guys really rushed at this thing. And I just wanted to come see everybody that voted against saving it. I just think it's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person is Nick Bierman, Parker Avenue.
Mayor and council members, this is a day that I sincerely hoped would not come. No matter how hard we fought to keep it from happening, you finally turned your backs on us and steamrolled ahead with your plan to destroy the Ryan House. This action profoundly saddens those of us who worked tirelessly to stop it. But what really cuts like a knife and hurts all of us as a community is the callous, underhanded, deceitful, and downright dirty tactics the city used to carry out this heinous act. You proved to all of us, not just the Ryan House supporters, that you are more concerned about getting your way than about doing things the right way. You are more focused on winning, whatever that means in this situation, and will stoop to new lows over and over and over to get your way. Through your actions, you have severed what little trust still remained between us and City Hall. You could have followed the deed. You could have involved the Ryan family in saving parts of the house at their choosing. You could have respected the wishes of Nancy Ryan Dressel, who's right here in the audience with us today, when she notified the city in writing through an attorney of her desire to save every part of the house possible, including the Ryan family sawmill wood. The city refused to respect her wishes. Instead, you decided that you omnisciently know that the deed only meant furnishings inside the house were to be saved. and that the city had the sole authority without consulting the Ryan family to make decisions on what parts of the house were to be preserved. The Ryan family gave the city a gift, and you betrayed their generosity, honoring the family with a park my ass. They are here right now, and you ignored them. You should be ashamed of your despicable actions. Then, to add insult to injury, we were forced to endure a city council study session not more than 4 days later, during which city staff sat here smiling and asking for $22 million to finish the remaining work on Heritage Park. $22 million. That is 10 times the value, the $2.2 million price tag that you assigned to the Ryan House. 10 times that amount. Make no mistake about this. This was a choice. It was never about the money. This was a choice by city staff to abandon the history and the heritage of our community in search of some delusions of grandeur. I know you are sick of hearing from us, but I don't care. We're not going away. It's time to stop the lies and the propaganda coming from City Hall. I want to know what you think about your actions and how this was done. I already know the spin coming from the communications director, and I certainly don't want to hear what the city attorney tells you to tell us. I want to know how you feel. We deserve answers, and we demand accountability.
Thank you for your comments. Next.
The next person that will be speaking is Tina Burnett, Sumner Avenue.
It's on? Yes, it's on. Well, you did it. I hope you're proud. Your legacy is demolishing a story that began 150 years ago on May 18th, 1875, when George and Lucy Ryan married, moved into the cabin, and began to build the Victorian home that you just destroyed. And it only took you 1 hour and 50 minutes to gleefully demolish the house. I say gleefully because Ryan Windisch came to the demolition and was having a very good time, smiling and laughing. And I bring up Ryan because while you are all the face of the city and are correctly taking the blame, it is the staff who pushed this through. It is the staff who lied to you. The staff doesn't answer to anyone except the mayor, so she ultimately has the responsibility. Not all of you were even on the council when the demolition vote in 2023 happened. In fact, I believe there was Pat Cole and Mayor Hayden and Barb Botetto. You're the only ones who voted for demolition. The rest of the council, this new face of a council, was never even given the chance to vote on that. Staff made sure that didn't happen, and maybe that protects you from not having to stand up and tell everybody what you want. But it's not fair to the public that the city council didn't do a revote on demolition. This is a different council. Ryan Windisch, the Community and Economic Development Director, is the prime driver of demolishing history in Sumner. When I asked, standing here, about getting a building code to require a facade on all the historic downtown Main Street, that if a new building goes up, like there will, that we have a facade that makes it blend. Andy went to Ryan and asked him if that was possible, and thank you, Andy. But Ryan said, no, the developers wouldn't like that. Not the community, not the citizens, the developers wouldn't like it. Well, we know who he serves. The additional request for $22 million more for the city offices and small events center in Heritage Park is another example of Mr. Windisch's disconnect from the people. We are a small town of 10,000 people, not a metropolis. In the community survey last year, 23.4% of the Ryan House. It was the fourth most preferred project after streets, sidewalks, and saving the money. Hops Alley at 16.8.
Ms. Burnett, your time is up. Your time is up.
Okay, this is a business meeting, so out of respect for the meeting, please hold your applause. Go ahead, Michelle.
Melody Adams Forstrom, Traffic Avenue.
Dear Mayor, City Council, and visitors, here are the goals I propose for the City of Sumner. Prohibit the demolition of historic buildings, houses, and other historic structures in Sumner. Cancel Phase 2 and 3 of Heritage Park. A park can be renovated for less than $22 million. Cancel the hangar at Heritage Park. Just a note, small note, the median income of citizens or residents in Sumner is $46,000. Remove storage of lithium batteries by Derringer School, which is also 1,000 feet from the flume. Number 4, prohibit building of high-density apartments and condominiums in downtown Sumner. What surprised me the most of the Ryan House demolition was the manner in which it was conducted. People, including me, were stunned. The doors and windows were taken out starting at 2 a.m. How do we know that? Because Nick Bierman was driving by at the time and saw something was amiss. And he was messaging us in the wee hours. So we were down there by 6 in the morning. Bulldozing of the house started at 7 a.m. The Ryan house was completely destroyed and torn down by 8:45. They knew it had to be done by 9 a.m. before we could get a restraining order to stop the work. The sad thing is there were historical documents and artifacts left in the house prior to demo that were not removed. None of the materials removed have been offered. I'm so sorry to the Ryan family, as spelled out in the deed of 1926. The fight is not over for Ryan House. There is still a lawsuit, and we will continue to fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next, Michelle?
Kim Foster, Gig Harbor.
Hello. You'll probably be surprised I'm not really going to talk about the Ryan House, because I think there's enough people here tonight to remind you of how despicable and shameful you acted through this whole ordeal. But I would especially like to apologize to Nancy and her granddaughter Scarlett, who, by the way, Scarlett, you're a spitting image of your grandma when she was your age. And I'm sorry that these people tore your family's house down. I'm glad you're here. So I'm here on behalf of my family, who some people would claim as a legacy family, although the Ryans are in the major leagues. My family would only amount to AAA baseball because we've only been in the city about 100 years. But I actually brought today the transcript from the retirement of the Senate from Reuben Knobloch the day he retired in 1976. He presented this to my dad, who was the mayor of the town here in the 60s and 70s. And Reuben gave a nice note in the beginning saying how he always considered himself to be a member of my family. But I'm actually here today to talk about a guy named Danny Crook. Do any of you know Danny Crook? Ms. Cole, do you know Danny Crook? Mr. Wilson, anybody know Danny Crook? Mayor Hayden, I assumed you would. You probably cut his hair. So Danny was a neighbor of mine, and he was a member of the storied class of 1973, of which you've heard a lot about. And Danny's dad, Stu Crook, was the captain of the Husky football team and quite an athlete. He became one of the coaches here at the high school, and ultimately I think he was the principal of the junior high school. So Danny was his cherished son and a neighbor of mine growing up. Danny was the most amazing athlete you could ever imagine. He was our Jim Thorpe. He was a tremendous baseball player. He was the captain and star player of our state championship football teams in 1973. He was a terrific basketball player. But in 1968, there was a kid named Casey Kerrigan over in Ording, and Casey taught himself how to pole vault. And believe it or not, in 1968, as a high school athlete, Casey got to go to the Olympics. And during the Olympic trials, he was such a great pole vaulter that he actually beat the other kids by 18 inches in pole vault. That's how amazing he was. Well, he went to the Olympics. He didn't win a medal, but he did great. He brought a lot of fame to our region. And Danny, he took note of that and decided he was going to become a pole vaulter, and he was going to be better than Casey. And he practiced and practiced, taught himself, and he did pretty good. He never pole vaulted before in his life, but he did pretty well. Certainly didn't go to the Olympics or anything, but he got good enough that he could go to college. And so he went to college.
Mr. Foster, your time is up.
Oh, that's just lovely. In any event, you're desecrating Danny's heritage by taking his bench and throwing it in the garbage. So I'd like to have more time. Maybe there's a time when some of you would like to learn about Danny.
Your time is up, sir.
Melissa Fox is the next person. Spanaway.
I'm here tonight to talk about a pattern of actions the City Council has taken and should disturb the community. First came my inquiry about the family plaques from Heritage Park. I was, along with many others, told the plaques had been destroyed during demolition of the water feature. I continued to come to council meetings, persisting in my search. Finally, I was referred to Derek Berry, who actually brought the surviving plaques out of city storage. The plaques were subsequently surplused and given out to the public. The same story is true of the benches that were in Heritage Park. They were removed and citizens were told the benches no longer existed. Amazingly, the benches were found in storage, although not all could be accounted for. They too were surplused and given out to the public. According to the city, something will be created to honor these families. To date, the city's designs do not include any kind of memorial. Dismissal of history. Now to the Ryan House. In September 2023, the council voted to demolish the house. A concerned group of citizens took court action and won. The city has glossed over the real judgment that found the city's actions were illegal. This is clearly disinformation. Then another domino fell with the after-hours issuance of a demolition permit, salvage actions done in the middle of the night, and a bulldozer raising the Ryan House at 7 a.m. well before an injunction could be obtained. Imagine, 150 years of history was destroyed within an hour and a half. Demolition was complete by 8:25. Interestingly, the city posted a public notice of the demolition shortly after 8 a.m. The timing of the demolition is certainly suspect. Many in the community are angry. Public trust has been violated. And finally, the city staff proposal for Heritage Park phases 3 and 4, presented to the council at the July 28th study session. Is the public aware that the plan is to construct a modernistic 3-story building on the south end of Heritage Park? First floor an events center with the second floor allocated for city staff and administration, and the third floor housing a new city council chamber? The estimated cost? $22 million. Grants, lodging taxes, the general fund, that's public tax dollars, and even giving naming rights to companies are listed as potential funding resources. Is spending $22 million for a new city hall what the community wants or needs? I referred the staff's presentation and virtual 360-degree tour video shown on July 28th. Note, the council has not voted on this expenditure yet. There is still time for public input. Representation of the community is not the council's first priority. These actions define the legacy of this mayor, city council, and staff. Shameful.
The next person is Mark Malcolm from Guptill Avenue.
All right, thank you, Mayor and City Council members and City Administration. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today and share some thoughts regarding the recent demolition of the Ryan House, as well as offer suggestions for improving communication and public engagement in the future. Over the past few years, I've attended council meetings and study sessions regularly, both in person and virtually. And through this experience, I've gained a deep appreciation for the work this body does and the complexities involved in governing a city. I also recognize that decisions like this one involving the Ryan House are never simple. An 150-year-old structure that has faced decades of neglect presents difficult choices, and I don't claim to have a definitive conclusion on whether it should have been preserved or removed. What I do want to speak to is the process, specifically the lack of public communication around the scheduled demolition. I was sitting in this very chamber that Monday before the demolition started, and there was no mention of it. For a site with such historical significance and such community activism, it felt like a missed opportunity. It should have been meaningful for the community to have a chance to acknowledge its legacy and honor it in a more intentional way if that was going to be the outcome. I shared this not to criticize, but to advocate for a stronger sensitivity to city and its residents. History matters to these people, especially to those with deep roots in this community. And when decisions affect our shared heritage, our clear, proactive communication can go a long way in building trust and fostering civic pride. I know this process may have followed the letter of the law, but I believe we can do more to honor the spirit of community. Moving forward, I encourage the Council to prioritize transparency and public engagement, particularly around difficult issues that touch on our city's history and identity. Keeping the community informed and involved not only strengthens trust, but also ensures that decisions are made with both legal integrity and ethical care of our community character. Thank you again for your time and again for your continued service to the city.
Thank you, Mark.
Nancy Dressel, Port Orchard.
Hi, I'm Nancy Ryan Dressel. I am fourth generation Ryan family, and this is my granddaughter Scarlett, who is sixth generation. And together we wrote a poem, and she is going to read it to us.
In the dark of night, a band of pirates designed as your friends went looking to see what they could destroy. Aha, they said, we see a house full of wonderful memories and history. But wait, said the pirates, what will the people say? The people cried and wailed, please know, we love our house with its beauty and its grace. Who cares, said the pirates, we need this place for the people to play. Away with this house, we shall declare it unsafe. And so they tore it down with all their might. In the dark of night, shame on Sumner. May all remember who brought this tragedy in the dark of night.
You destroyed her history also. She never had a chance to go into the house. And yeah, I'm just ashamed. Shame on all of you.
Thank you for your comments. Michelle?
Amy Rang, Pacific Avenue.
My name is Amy, and I've lived my entire life in Sumner. My great-great-great-grandfather, Doc Spinning, came to Sumner on the same wagon train that brought Ezra Meeker to Puyallup. His son, Frank Spinning, married Sarah Ryan, and they lived in the Ryan house for a brief time after they were married while they were building their home across town. The deep sadness I feel at the needless destruction of the Ryan house and the historical treasure that it was can be adequately conveyed to you. I can say all the right words, but if you're not willing to really hear them, there's nothing I can do. I raised my two children in Sumner. One of those children couldn't care less what they were wearing, so getting him dressed in the morning was pretty straightforward. My other child cared quite a lot about what they wore, so when they were very young, to save my time and hassle every morning, I would pick 2 or 3 outfits and let her choose what she wanted to wear. It worked great, not for very long, but I thought it was brilliant. That strategy doesn't work as well for a city. The citizens of Sumner are not toddlers and do not deserve to be treated like one. The group of Ryan House supporters come from all walks of life and all care deeply for Sumner's history and preservation. The city says they care about what the residents think, but you send out surveys with limited options, just like our limited outfit choices. I once offered to my daughter. You hold open houses where no one listens. I've been to many of those over the years. The city wants to develop our family property, and we've written letters, we've shown up to meetings, we went to open houses. Our entire street showed up to an open house at the library and were told, tough luck. We've got our plans. So don't say that you want to hear from citizens when you won't take anything they say into account. The Ryan House being destroyed was just a small part of the larger plan the city has. And if you continue to ignore the input that's provided and shared, there's going to continue to be conflict. The plan that this council has for the future of Sumner is not the plan that most citizens want, but you're not listening. You can keep ignoring that, or you can work with the citizens to make Sumner better. I know growth is necessary. People who care enough to show up to city council meetings and events deserve to be listened to, not just heard. Everyone's not going to be happy all of the time, but when such a large portion of your community is disgusted by what is happening, you have a problem that needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Amy.
The next person is Adeline Rand.
It's Adeline Rand. Thank you. No problem. I'd like to start off by thanking the mayor and the city council for inspiring me to go get my master's degree and seek knowledge in land use policy and planning so that I can prevent things like this happening wherever I choose to live. I dedicated 1 year of my life to service with AmeriCorps in rural Eastern Oregon. I worked with the Visitors Association there. We covered 11 counties. Guess what? The main asset of all of these towns, what all of these city councils, all of these mayors, all of these chambers valued the most? Their historical buildings, their historical downtowns. They knew what drives tourism dollars. I know there was 11 counties. That was the main source of income. That's what visitors want. And you guys are just not listening. However, you have to take a step back. What is Sumner? How are you marketing it? Well, if you keep sticking with a small town charm, and you have modern, ugly buildings, and have destroyed everything that makes it charming, and 7-story high-density housing, there is no small-town charm. There is no small town. I know you don't care, and I know that nothing that I say or that people here say will ever change any city council decision, from the asphalt plant to the rezoning of my home on my great-grandfather's dairy, from agricultural to commercial light industrial to the demolition of the Ryan House. I've seen it time and time again. I am tired. You never listen to anything except money and your own self-interest. I am the 7th generation to live in Sumner. 7th. My great-great-great-great-grandfather was Doc Spinning, the wagon train doctor who came over with Ezra Meeker. My ancestors have made the conscious decision to live in Sumner, and because they saw a future here. They helped build Sumner's foundations. With the city of Sumner's clear intentions that my words, my concerns, my home, and what is supposed to be our history does not matter. I will likely be the last. I can no longer see my future here. Sumner is no longer my home.
Randall Adams.
Council, I sent to you my comments earlier via email, so I'm not going to go through all of them right now because I think you understand what you've done. But what I want to clarify for you is that there were still 2 cases that were active, 2 suits that were active against the city when you demolished the Ryan House. You jumped the gun. Now you get to live waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, and acknowledging or knowing the fact that you demolished the Ryan House because you got played by the city staff. Because that's what happened. It seems that the $22 million price tag that you guys didn't blow up and tell them what the hell are you thinking, which you should have done, where is the spreadsheets for even the $11.6 million that had been promoted for 2 years? Where's the spreadsheets for the $22 million? Have we seen any factual information other than just smoke and mirrors? Because that's all you saw in that presentation was smoke and mirrors. There's no factual basis to it. But what I did see was this. City Administrator Wilson's method of getting what he wants when he wants it is to push. He pushed to demolish the Ryan House at one meeting, at a presentation, and he pushed last Monday to have you guys swallow a $22 million bill immediately. Now, you pushed back and you said, hey, go out and go find your funds. I'm saying, shouldn't you have some fact as to what the hell you're spending it on before you even turn them loose? Because you know they're not going to raise $22 million, and they're going to come back to you and say, oh, gee, we tried, but we couldn't quite get it. Here's your $15 million bill. Something else that's happened recently that upset me significantly was how many of you go to work not knowing if you're going to go home alive at the end of your shift? That is only for our police officers to have to deal with. None of the rest of us. Yet staff, either completely tone deaf or spineless, put out negative notices on the water restrictions and the city's diatribe about the Ryan House under the heading of the police department. Now, I do not believe that Sumner is a police state, nor do I believe that the police had anything to do with what's happening with the water or the Ryan House. But you hid behind them. You allowed, I shouldn't say that, you allowed the staff to hide behind them. Let's put a bullseye on our police officers because you're such chickens. I mean, there's people that make $200,000
Mr. Randall, your time is
here.
up. Jerry Yoder, Traffic Avenue.
Okay, I'm going to try to, I wanted this to be positive. You know, I read Kathy's love letter on the internet as far as how she's been beat up, how you guys have been beat up. What does that tell you? Do you think the city of Sumner is in love with the council? I don't think so. It's embarrassing. I invited all you guys up to my museum to see what I wanted to do with what I've been begging to get for a year and a half. One person showed up. She was with Rotary, so she probably didn't come purposely on that, but I let her know that, did you see the plaque in there? And she probably saw it. She didn't maybe recognize it, but I appreciated at least one of you give a darn enough to see what I wanted to do. I didn't get the park bench I wanted because there was a lot of park benches, but it's amazing. Everything I wanted, I couldn't have. I got lied to. Nope, your dad's plaque is gone. It's busted up. Thank God a member of the Ryan House found it. It's displayed right with the rest of the Ryan House stuff. I came here at 6:45 the other morning to get a bench. When I read the email, said first come, first serve. I mean, all that I've done for the city, all the years that I've been at Sunset, owned Sunset, Sunset supplied more sales tax money to this town than any other business. Did I ever get a letter saying, geez, thank you, Mr. Yoder. You know, we couldn't have made it without you. But no, you guys just, everything for granted. You have to do this, 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 and this. It just gripes me. But Crook did get the bench. You know, I was down here. He was first in line. Well, Mr. Adams was first in line. I went through mine knowing I wasn't going to find Bob Breen, which is best drugger in the world, not one of the best customers, but I mean, I ended up going through all the benches, and the one I picked out was Bank of Sumner. I've been saying his name all day, and I can't remember it now. But the guy that started it, he was a good enough salesman to come to me and get some money out of me, and I had stock in the bank, and I was proud to say I was a stock broker of Bank of Sumner. So I have that bench, detailed it. I've got a guy doing some restoration on it. I got 2 other benches from other members, took them home. One was Z-Deck, the other was Barbara and John Skinner. I made theirs brand new. Their son came and
Mr. Yoder, your time is up.
Yeah, thank you. He's going to donate $100 to Sumner Rotary.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder.
That's positive. Don't you want to hear positive stuff? You know, if you...
Mr. Yoder,
it's sad.
your time is up.
It's really sad. Really sad.
Your time
if
is
my
up.
customers came to me and I told them 3 minutes to complain, sad. Sad.
Henderson, Amanda Henderson.
Okay. Do I need to state my address and all that, or you got? Okay, you know where I live.
You do.
Yeah, you know where I live. I got a picture of it.
You need to state your name and address, please.
She already started my clock. There's a picture here. I don't know if you guys can zoom in. On March 28th, 2024, Mayor Hayden's in here, Ryan Windish, former Mayor's son Dave Inslow, Andy Elfers is in here. This is a ribbon cutting ceremony for the apartments that were illegally built around my house with no notice. Demolition destroyed my house. It's cost me $85,000 to fix it. I was ghosted by the city and the city attorney, and my attorney was as well. Spent our life savings with an attorney. The only reason to this day that we just got our house fixed about 3 months ago was because my dad passed away last year and left me enough money to fix it. And you know what that money should have gone towards? Those 3 kids, look at them. Show them respect and look at them. You stole that money from them. That was their college fund. I had to fix my house because you have a city inspector that did not hold anybody accountable, didn't follow the laws, nothing. I don't know why Ryan Windish doesn't have a seat up here because he's running the show. We all know that now. I've done enough digging. If your name's in this binder, you owe my children an absolute apology. That's why this is personal. The Ryan House, I care for it dearly, but it was just a symptom of what I was already dealing with for a whole year before the Ryan House even came up. I had been attending these meetings, and me and my family were the only ones here. And then finally, the Ryan House came and woke up the rest of the freaking city to what's really, really happening here. And the fact that you still haven't even looked at them? Come on, dude. Like, it is a home of a disabled veteran and 3 children. That's what you guys did to it. That's what you did. And nobody's held responsible. Nobody's been held responsible at all. I understand you can't just write me a check for what you did. I understand that. I tried. We tried. And I'm exhausted. I haven't slept in 3 years trying to figure out how I'm going to fix this while we're dumping buckets of water because the demo shook the chimney away from my house and water poured in for 2 years. My walls were here. My floor was here. I had towels shoved in to keep rodents and bugs out of my children. And I got ghosted by you guys. And you guys go and have a celebration. You are 20 feet away from the damage to walk in the door to these apartments. I can't. We had a job lined up in Idaho. We were supposed to move the month after this construction started. You stole our lives away from us. So if you guys get sick and tired of looking at my face, I'm only here because of Ryan Windish and a few other people who dropped the freaking ball and didn't want to make it right. The Ryan House is just a symptom. And most of these people in this book, guess what? I've done some research. Got freaking promotions since now. None of them are fired. None of them are fired. None of them. I don't have an apology from any of you. I don't have anything. Andrea told me the city can't make the developer or construction follow the approved plans. What the hell is the job title of a city inspector then? That had only been on the job 2 months and you gave him this big of a project? And he knew half the construction workers? I hope you guys all have the day you deserve for the rest of your lives.
Casey, there'll be no applause. Casey Henderson.
Please hold your applause. What's this guy's name?
Hi, I'm Casey. I live with Amanda in our recently fixed house because Dee passed away. To her point, and to tie it all in with the Ryan house, it just kind of goes along with the process or lack of process that the city has. If anybody else is going to build anything, you have to follow the SEPA. You have to post a 3x3 sign, notice of proposed land use action on every forward-facing street side of a property. These apartments had none. The only reason why we were notified is because the project manager went door to door with little flyers saying, hey, we're going to start construction in 2 weeks. And that was it. I mean, we had a city inspector who was more concerned with shooting the breeze with his buddies than actually identifying and notifying the contractor of OSHA violations and L&I violations than actually paying attention to what the crews were doing, such as digging trenches across my property line, compromising my fence, talking to my wife and kids like they're one of the guys, swearing at them, telling them they're in the way. Leave us the F alone. Let us do our effing job. My kid's bus stop for his school is at the end of the street. That street was tore up. I called the school district and said, are you aware of this? No, nobody told us anything. So the contractor dropped the ball on that, and so did the inspector. And so did anybody else on the staff who was responsible for that project. Because nobody goes to East Sumner. Nobody here goes to East Sumner unless they drive by it to go to their house on the hill because they don't live here. They have no dog in this fight. They have no skin in this game. That's why they didn't care about our house. That's why they didn't care about the Ryan house, because it's not their city. So they don't care. It doesn't affect them. Raising taxes, yeah. Let's have the council vote for a tax increase because it doesn't affect me. I live up in Tahali. I don't have to pay the increased taxes. According to the school district, if a city bus stop for the school is supposed to be torn up, the district needs to be notified and needs to be approved. And anytime there's a student at that bus stop, any equipment within 100 feet has to be shut down. Not just hands off the stick, not just down to rabbit mode and idle, shut off. There's a guy running a 300 excavator 10 feet away from my wife and kid, continuing to work because nobody held them accountable. Because these people, it doesn't affect them. They don't care. Plans were approved that showed that this building was going to go and extend onto my property because my house wasn't there. How was my house not there? How was that not caught by city staff? How was that plan approved? And nobody said, wait a minute, there's a house right
Sir,
here.
your time is up. Thank you.
Joke.
And Mayor, that is the last of our signed up for public comments.
All right. I'll ask one time, is there anybody that has not spoke would like to say something tonight? All right. Thank you. Who we got? Okay, go ahead. State your name and residence.
Laura Hendricks, City of Sumner. So where do we begin? The rubble or our sins? Let's start with the rubble, because that's all we have left. On July 25th, 2025, the city brought in excavators and bulldozers, not to make way for something important, but to level one of the last standing pieces of our town's soul, the Ryan House. A beautiful 150-year-old piece of our city's history, a pioneer cabin turned library, museum, community landmark, and gathering place. She was more than just wood and nails. She was our story, our memory, our anchor. And how did you honor her birthday? by tearing her down in the dark of night. Wow, bold move. I'd love to know who pulled that trigger. Who looked at a 150-year-old lady, let's say, and said, yeah, she's got to go. But don't worry, you don't have to answer right now. I have 1 minute and 52 seconds left. The Ryan House was loved by generations of families, and she stood stoically through pandemics, earthquakes, the Great Depression, you name it. Yet in the end, her fate wasn't sealed by nature or natural disaster. Her fate was sealed by deliberate action. The city chose demolition after years of avoiding maintenance, ignoring public outcry, and sidelining community voices. You made your move. Yes, the city said it was unsafe. Yes, the city said it would cost too much to restore. But the truth, what they saw wasn't a liability. They saw a burden, a relic, an inconvenience. And instead of rallying with the community to preserve it, they put up fences, brought in security, and pushed forward while many of us watched helplessly from the sidelines. Let's be clear, this was not the will of Sumner. This was not what the people of Sumner asked for. This was a failure of leadership, a betrayal of heritage, a sin. And a reminder that when we don't fight loud enough for what matters, it can be taken from us piece by historic piece. So what happens now? The city says they'll build a park in honor of Lucy Ryan. But how do you honor someone by destroying the very thing tied to their name? The Ryan House deserved better, Sumner deserved better. And while the house is gone, the story isn't over. Not if we keep telling it, not if we hold our leaders accountable. But in the end, you can't demolish the truth. Shame on you.
All right. So we'll move on to reports. Councilmember Botetto. Oops, what's that, Jason?
Mayor, I believe you have a couple more people that may want to speak.
Okay, go ahead.
My name's Gary Rang, and I just want to comment about all the spending y'all are doing on the park here. You remodeled it and you tear it down. That's a heck of a lot of money you're spending for $22 million just to appease the administrator and the council, the people upstairs. And then y'all did what you did to the Ryan House. Y'all got to live with that. That was straight nasty, filthy, what you did in the middle of the night. You know, you couldn't come out clean in the middle of the day and let people have the respects. Y'all got to live with yourself. That's all I got.
All right. One last call. Anybody else? All right. Okay, we have no new business, and we are off to council reports. Councilmember Botetto.
Just want to remind everybody to be sure to vote. I heard that there's only 10%. Well, you don't have to worry about it, so don't. And then there is a concert at Loyalty Park on Friday or on Saturday. So that's all I have.
All right, Deputy Mayor Bowman.
Thank you. So this last week we had I attended the meeting with South Sound Affordable Housing Partners, and I just want to say that there was a huge acknowledgement in regard to affordable housing and affordable home ownership in our region and how it's needed. I'm truly impressed with the organization and its ability to drive plans and execute on the plans. So people in Pierce County are definitely starting to be feeling the positive repercussions of the SHAPE organization. Pierce County Executive Ryan Mello shared that there have been 1,000 units funded by the Maureen Howard Affordable Housing Act in Spanaway and Tacoma so far to date. In Frederickson, as we mentioned before, there's going to be 28 homes, maximum being built that the city of Sumner is helping to fund. There's a consortium of cities all that partake in this. The city of Fife recently acquired a property that they're going to use for affordable housing as well. So this will provide a great opportunity for the city of Sumner to watch and follow along as both projects move forward, so we can understand how we too can utilize these resources and processes to look at bringing more affordable homes into our town. Last year, SHAPE did a NOFA, which is a Notice of Funding Availability. Nobody from Sumner showed any interest, so in my opinion, we need to be proactive and determine a process in which we can utilize vacant properties here in Sumner and partner with others to create property owner collaboration with those landowners here in Sumner and SHAPE, because they have a proven process that they use to actually get the affordable homes built and purchased. Then, last Thursday, I had a great opportunity to go to the food bank. I don't know how many people here are aware or go into the food bank or possibly volunteer or utilize the food bank. Boy, that is quite the operation. I've been there one other time, but I was so impressed with the director, Anthony, and with Jay, that both work there, the operations director. So I won't read all of them, but just a few tidbits, and then I had to send them an email and say, what was all that information you shared with me? So I asked them, how many people are served daily, weekly, and monthly? They serve 78 families per day. Pastor Stark was here earlier saying Monday night he had just come from the food bank, so churches are now helping to keep the food bank open at night. So they're really engaging the church community here to help out there. 78 families per day, 594 families per week, 2,376 families per month. And then there are walk-in clients only, and this does not include the families that are served through other agencies they support. That local food bank of ours here in Sumner supports 15 other food banks in the state. So they support from Prairie Ridge to Berrien, 5 Spanaway, Carbonado, Mineral, Edgewood, Yelm, Lansford, Eatonville, and Buckley. So that's how much food is coming through that place. I asked, how many pounds of food do you guys turn in a week or a month? Average monthly inbound in the last 12 months was 304,729 pounds of food, and the average monthly outbound is 343,668 pounds. That's why they virtually almost have a 0% waste there. Right down to the vegetables, they have local pig and goat farmers that come and pick the waste up, and I saw that. So then I asked, how many people come in and get food off the grab-and-go shelf? Because when I was there, I know that people have to make appointments, but then I was seeing people walk in and walk out with bags, so I asked them, they said, well, that's the grab-and-go shelf, and because they don't want anybody to go hungry. So this varies as our homeless clients have the option for the grab-and-go bags, or they can come in and shop, but they do have to make an appointment, but typically they encourage them to get the grab-and-go bag. And then all new clients who are registering and don't have an appointment are offered a bag. So the food bank averages about 151 new clients a month. These are some awesome people over there. I mean, it was just very touching. So how many of the kids' backpacks are created weekly throughout the school year so no child goes hungry over the weekend? That's another question I asked them. And they said we serve 200 to 250 backpack bags each week during the school year. And we serve 50 to 100 backpack bags each week during the summer. And during the school year, the kids that pack the backpack bags, is everybody aware of this? They're kids from Puyallup School that are, they're challenged. I'll just say that. They're great kids. They come in and they build those right there in the food bank. So the reason I'm bringing up all of this is because one of the core reasons Sumner Food Bank continues to have such a meaningful and far-reaching impact is the strength of its enduring partnerships. And with city leadership, the business sector, the school district, the faith community, and the committed citizens who support the food bank. But I really think it's that leadership over there. And when I talked with those guys, I was so impressed. So I would just ask anybody that has time, go volunteer. I see a lot of heads nodding, so I'm sure people go in there. They have an operating budget of $800,000 for the year 2025. And their funding comes through grants from foundations, government-funded programs, and private donations. So here on the council, we did vote this last year and awarded them $50,000 from the Community Partners Fund. when I saw that, when I see the operation, I'm thinking, geez, I don't know how far that $50,000 goes. There's so much food rolling through there. So I would just ask people to volunteer if they get a few minutes of their time. And or it could be as simple as helping someone that can't get there to get their food. Really an impressive operation down there. I personally, my husband and I were going to volunteer, and we're going to get some other friends to help do that. They said the average volunteer lasts about a year there, and then they get tired, you know. So it's a pretty busy hop in place. So the food bank, it's a great thing in our community. Then I'd like to talk about the Ryan House. I'd like to start out by reminding everyone that this has been a long process, which you're all aware of, probably longer for some of you than for some of us. It's been a very emotional process for many involved, and probably more so than most people realize. And it's touched a broader sadness in the community than most people realize. But we must remember that in times like these, whether we're on the same side of the line or not, that understanding, respect, and kindness for all is so very critical and important. We all have different feelings, thoughts, and emotions on the topic. At some point, we need to come together again as a united community, and believe me, we heard and listened to what was said tonight. And we have to be able to be respectful to each other, whether we agree or not on a topic. But I do want to remind everyone that the city staff, in the end, implemented what the council directed them to do. Some of us extended the olive branch on a few occasions. I know I personally coordinated some meetings between Save the Ryan House Group and the city staff to see if we could come to a working together agreement. I know Councilman Elfers and myself tried to create and pass a resolution in which private funds could be raised and given to the city to be matched so the Ryan House could be repaired. You know, we felt we were trying to do a good thing. I don't know if it was, you know, acknowledged as such, but in our mind, we were trying to do something to be helpful. So I would just say I'm hoping we can all move forward and work together, creating a beautiful park in memory of Lucy Ryan. But I think that with that said, I appreciate the comments.
Okay. Councilmember Clerget.
Thank you. Yeah, I got to make a comment on the Ryan House also, if I could. So reading the original paperwork, everybody seems to take little specific bits of what it was saying. So keeping with that, the old house is used to describe that building many times. And it also states when the present building is ready to be torn down. So back in the 1920s, the Ryans had the foresight that the city at some point had to tear down the old house and put in a public park. So that's what I read and, you know, put it all together. So I would also like to thank the city staff for their continued support to the council to achieve that outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cole.
I do not have a report tonight.
All right. Councilmember Elfers.
Yeah, a couple of things. I did a Pierce County Regional Council meeting a couple weeks back. Not much to report on that. They had a presentation from Pierce Transit. And since we're talking about the public transportation district tonight, I just think I'm really thankful that we aren't paying that extra 0.4% in sales tax because we weren't getting any service when we were. But they are doing a great job, so there's some need to hear the report on that. Not too much else from Puget Sound Regional Council. And then we did every quarter we did a joint action advisory committee with the city of Bonnie Lake. So I really have appreciated learning. They don't have a sewer plant, so they work with us on that. So there's I feel like it's been a good process to see some of the way we run that and how the system is it's complicated and a pretty successful system, and we have a good partnership with Bonnie Lake on that. So I think that was a helpful meeting. We're still working on quite a lot of work that's fairly expensive with the biosolids and they're doing new digesters. So quite a lot's happening there, and we really depend on that. Not the most exciting thing to talk about, but it is really something we would be really sad not to have. In regards to the Ryan House, I just want to thank everyone for the comments. I think we listen. We've listened for quite a long time. We've engaged people individually in meetings. We've looked for solutions. Things were quite a ways along when most of us here became on the council, and so I do feel like there has been some things the city hasn't done perfectly, but I also want to just say that the council does I don't really like the idea of blaming the staff for this. I do think the council supported the decision, not necessarily the way it was done in every way. I do think we had conversations looking for solutions. The city spent years looking for solutions, and then we did engage people here, and the solutions were mostly criticizing and not really providing money, which is what we were looking for help with. So that's disappointing. At the same time, I just want to say that I'm really sad. I wasn't happy to see the Ryan House go. I've been in Sumner a long time, and it's a neat house. So I think I'm thankful for the fact that it was used as a library and museum. I'm thankful for the Ryan House for donating it to the city and trusting the city to make decisions of what's to do with that house. And I also hopeful that we can move from the criticizing and fighting and wasting a lot of money with lawsuits to coming up with some way to create a new chapter that would be something that the community would enjoy. Again, thank you for your comments, and thank you. That's what I have to say about that.
Councilmember Kenna.
Yeah, just a few things tonight. Just to note that school's going to be coming up, in another month or so, and we've got some back-to-school resource fairs that the school district is putting on. So those are going to be taking place a couple different times in August, August 14th, August 19th, and August 21st. And I could share those details, but I would just encourage everybody, just go to the school district's website, look for their resource fair events, and there's free supplies, backpacks, things like that for students that will need them for the upcoming year. So make sure to take advantage of that. Simultaneously, also, the Red Canoe credit union branches are also putting on kind of a donations for school supplies event. I know there's one of those branches up in Lake Tapps. I think there's one in Puyallup as well. They'll actually take supplies, or they'll take donations to then go towards supplies for students in need. So, consider donating to those. And then we've got our Sounders rave event coming over to Siebenthaler Park on Wednesday, August 20th in the afternoon from 1 to 4:30. There's going to be music, food. I think there might be some players there from the Sounders if you've got a Sounders fan in your family. So stop by that. And I'll just take a moment to kind of acknowledge the Ryan House issue as well. I do think that what I've heard tonight and what I continue to hear is that it is a broader issue. It's not just the Ryan House. And as many of you know, I've only been on the council for about 8 or 9 months. I can't absolve myself from being part of the last 9 months, but I do think that I was always playing catch up with what many of you have felt and heard and said over the last couple of years. And I take the responsibility that I have up here very seriously. I have done my best in the limited time that I have to engage a number of folks, have conversations, not just in this room. A lot of people talk to me about the topic of the Ryan House or Heritage Park or the streets or whatever that might be. And I do my best to have those conversations, to take that in. I know a number of folks feel like they aren't being heard or listened to, and I understand that. So I'm going to try to do my best, and I'm open to any email. If you want to set up a phone call, whatever that might be, I truly do want to hear you and hear your perspective on anything. Somebody commented on the Transportation Benefit District. I tried to reach out to that person. I think he's since left, but I couldn't find his information, so I'm going to do that now that I have his email. The Heritage Park information, council had questions about that. I know there were questions about it from the audience tonight, and we're going to continue to ask questions about that because it is a lot of money. And I know there's some of the developmental issues in the city and that have been raised as well, and the impacts on our homes. So those are all things that I'm playing catch up on, but I'm doing my best, and I really am trying to hear you. I don't know that it's hard to be authentic and genuine if you don't feel like there's a lot of trust. So I'm doing my best to earn that trust, and hopefully you can give me a chance. I can say that professionally, I've come into a lot of situations where they're working for the state where there is not trust from the get-go, and you have to really work to earn that, and sometimes it's not possible to earn that, and you just try to do your best anyway. But I will continue, and I'm sure the rest of my council members will continue to do our best to earn that, to have those hard conversations and move forward together. Thanks.
Councilmember Ranke.
Sure. I'm just going to make a comment about the Ryan House. Most of you know I've talked about this before, so I've been in town 44 years. The Ryan House, My kids grew up in it. I went there several times over the years. But I think, like Tina said, there was a vote made September 18th of 23, 6-1. Kerr Brown was the only one that's voted to keep it. He has passed on, left the council. The other 6 left. 2 of them are on the dais tonight. The other 4 are gone. They quit. They even quit this city. They left the state. 1 is still living in the city. So to say that the 5 of us, different council members that are up here, have taken a lot of heat the last year and a half. And I will tell you, March 6th of 24, I got sworn in on that podium, 6 o'clock. I came here and sat down. 15 minutes later, public comments. I was trashed, told I voted to tear down the Ryan House. What was I thinking? And it was my fault. And I've been here literally 15 minutes. Now, I've been in the city a long time. I know a lot of people, citizens, business owners, everything. I worked for the fire department for 35 years, right in this very building, a lot of it. So I do know a lot about the city. And I've been around for many years, been through a lot of different things, elections, mayors, councils, fire commissioners, you name it. And I think the fate of the Ryan House was made on September 18th of 23. Now, yeah, we did try, like Deputy Mayor Bowman did say that her and Councilman Elfers did bring forward a resolution, and we had talked about it amongst us, how we could do this. But when you get a $2 million price tag, which obviously we all know that's, it's what it was, but where we're going to come up with the money, we didn't know. We were trying to do something, and then, of course, the multiple lawsuits that we've had. I don't know if the citizens know how much money we've spent on attorneys on this. It's been over, 6 figures, way over, and then staff time. So, I mean, it's sad. I'm not happy about it. I know I'm taking the blame for it. You guys can all say it's my fault when I don't believe it is. We tried to do something. It's just something that we're stuck between a rock and a hard spot. What are we going to do? We don't have $2 million. You guys were offered to raise some money. That didn't happen. So, yeah, I'm sad about it too. I'm not happy the way things turned out. And you can say in the dead of the night or whatever, this has been going on for 2 years. So this isn't something new. This is something that's been going on in and out of court, several lawsuits. In September, it'll be 2 years that this will have been in the courts. So that's all I really want to say. I know nothing I can say or do is going to make anybody feel any better probably. But I do feel we should, we're going to have to move forward. I know it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. I knew getting on this council that was going to be a hot button issue, and I knew that, there was going to be a lot of pushback and a lot of feedback on it. So that's all I really got to say. And to you guys, I do apologize, but you're bringing up things that 5 of us were nowhere around on that council when that happened. And I do apologize for what you went through. And I do apologize to your children. But I know. And I would say that about the apartments down there across from McLennan's. Right behind me is going to be a 4-story, coming up. And all these things have been in place for years and years. And right now, currently, the 7 of us sitting up here are going to be blamed for all those things. But that's just the way it is, I guess. And I'll take the blame, but I think some of it's unwarranted, and I appreciate Randall. I appreciate Tina and Nick. I've talked to them. I had conversations with them. I've been, talking to them the last year and a half that I've been on the council, But things just, it's whatever happened, and it's over. And now I guess we just got to move on. So that's all I really have. Thank you.
All right. City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Coming up next week, we have canceled the study session. We typically cancel 1 or 2 summer meetings, and August 11th is one of those. August 18th, regular council meeting. You have a few items on your agenda. First is a consultant agreement supplement for 166th Avenue East widening and improvements, a PSC contract for City Hall electric vehicle chargers, a consultant agreement supplement for Thompson Strategic Consulting for the White River Restoration Project, a design consultant contract amendment with NSD for White River Restoration, a resolution adopting an interlocal agreement with the City of Auburn related to the White River Restoration Project, water system improvements, design consultant agreement supplement, ordinance updating the business license exemption threshold, and an ordinance assuming the transportation benefit district. I also want to mention this Thursday at the Planning Commission meeting at 6 p.m., they will be considering a zoning code text amendment related to creating a manufactured home park overlay zone, and this item is scheduled to come to council in September. As Councilmember Kenna mentioned, the school district, or the Education Foundation rather, is partnering with the school district for a school supply drive through Red Canoe. You can make financial donations through a website that's linked from our homepage. Also, if you see a poster around the city, they have the QR code on there. Donations can be dropped off either at the school district or in our lobby. We have a collection bin. And then this Saturday, I invite everybody to come out to Loyalty Park for the Chalk Art Festival. This is an all-age event. It is free to participate in, and it starts at 4 p.m. You don't need to pre-register for that. You just show up, grab some chalk, and transform the pavement into your canvas. Prizes will be awarded for various age groups. And then after the Chalk Art Festival, the final Music Off Main featuring group 90s Rewind starts at 6:30, and there will also be food trucks available. Thank you.
All right. Also on Sunday at 10 o'clock at Sumner High School will be the Classy Chassis Car Show. So that's always a favorite. Walk on down to the high school and check it out. Meeting adjourned at 7:21.